Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. All glories to Smita, all glories to Smita, all glories to Smita, all glories to Shri Guru Gaura. Yana Salakya Chakshurum Meditam Yana Tasmai Shri Nama Om Vishnu Pradaya Krishna Prasna Vitare Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachari Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yana Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Mudati Swaparantikam Vandaham Sri Guru Triyuta Parakamaram Sri Guru Vaishnavam Shama Sri Rupam Sagrayatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sahivam Sadvaitam Savadvatam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Param Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Sham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakapatrubhyacha Sindhubhyevacha Patitam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare That's in the purport of the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse 78. We repeat the words together. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna Yatra Parto Dhanudhara Yatra Sri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Mati Mama. Line 78, 1878, Bhagavad Gita, as it is. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhuti Dhruvaniti Matir Mama Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhuti Dhruvaniti Matir Mama Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhuti Dhruvaniti Matir Mama. Someone else?
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhuti Dhruvaniti Matir Mama Yatra
Where? Yogeshvara, the master of mysticism. Krishna, Lord Krishna. Yatra, where? Partha, the son of Prita. Dhanudhara, the carrier of the bow and arrow. Tatra, there. Sri, opulence. Vijaya, victory. Bhuti, exceptional power. Dhruva, certain. Niti, morality. Mati Mama, my opinion. Translation. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. We repeat together. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. So then, to these words, there's a long purport. We read through quite a bit of it yesterday. Oh yes, here. this is towards the end, the second, the second before the one before the last. Okay, the one before. In Bhagavad Gita, 5 principal subject matters have been discussed: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, material nature, the living entities, eternal time, and all kinds of activities. All is dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. All conceptions of the Absolute Truth, impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and any other transcendental conception, exist within the category of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although superficially, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity, material nature, and time appear to be different, nothing is different from the Supreme. But the Supreme is always different from everything. It is the great secret. Okay. Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is that of inconceivable oneness and difference. This system of philosophy constitutes perfect knowledge of the Absolute Truth. The living entity in its original position is pure spirit. It's just like an atomic particle of the Supreme Spirit. Thus, Lord Krishna may be compared to the sun, and the living entities to sunshine. Because the living entities are the marginal energy of Krishna, they have a tendency to be in contact with either the material energy or with the spiritual energy. In other words, a living entity is situated between the two energies of the Lord, and because he belongs to the superior energy of the Lord, he has a particle of independence. For proper use of that independence, he comes under the direct order of Krishna. Thus he attains his normal condition in the pleasure-giving potency. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of its conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Prai Krishna Krishna Utare Srimati Bhaktivedanta Santanam. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guravani Prachana Nirvise Sasunirvani Paskitya Satara. So the verse was Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna Yatra Partudamurdaraha Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvaniti Mati Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. That's the opinion of Sanjaya. Sanjaya, who is the secretary of Dhritarashtra, and was empowered by Vyasadeva to be able to see, is empowered by Vyasadeva so that he can see and hear all what goes on the battlefield. Sanjaya was somehow involved in the battle, also battlefield. He came back in the evenings and gave reports to Dhritarashtra what happened. So this is at the end of the first day. And he, in the end of the first day, comes back and gives a report, and in that end he starts with the beginning, but it's the Bhagavad Gita, the introduction, to put the right standard of understanding. Right standard of understanding. Here. Yep. The right understanding. Why are we fighting? What happens? Isn't it bad? Yeah, no.
This is what a bit more boiling.
More boiling. You put it to my mouth if you want. don't like Hellboy. Hare Krishna. Knowledge means to know what is matter, what is spirit, and who is in control of both. Modern science only knows matter, thus it's incomplete knowledge. In the absence of knowing the spirit and the control of both, you can say it's ignorance, because it's not complete. It's only half-baked potatoes. It's not fully baked. It's not fully knowledge. So here today is okay. So we are on the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, we're coming to the end of the Bhagavad Gita. Today we are at the end of the Bhagavad Gita. That is very rare that I've ever read this ending verse with its purport. Prabhupada, in one way, here in the end of the purport of the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita, goes back to the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. Because in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada mentions these 5 truths that the Bhagavad Gita deals with. Though it may or may not be so obviously that it's not that Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita then says, and this refers to that point of these 5 truths, and this refers to that point. But these 5 points, 5 truths of the absolute truth is taken up in the Bhagavad Gita in various ways. So that is in the introduction, and that he comes back to here as a concluding words of the purport of the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita. And that is that the 5 principal subjects matters. It says 5 principal subject matters has been discussed. The personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Ishvara, Ishvara Parama Krishna, and that is what we spoken here yesterday. Krishna, who is the master of all mystics. And okay, that's that. And then there's Arjuna, because they're the living entity, and the combination of the two will make for extraordinary opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. So here's Krishna is spoken about, the Supreme Ishvara, the living entities, that is us, not our bodies, not our minds, us, the spirit soul, who is conscious and who is pure, but who is due to whatever his desires and either the desire of the Lord or the permission of the Lord, we have been allowed to enter this material existence. We have been given this particular body and mind and conditioned nature to work with. Of course, then as explained in the second part of the paragraph of this purport, end of the purport, we the living entities are marginal energy, as that Tatashta Shakti, and that Prabhupada explaining here how we tend to sometimes be covered by Maya and sometimes we are surrendered to Krishna. Because we understand from the Bhagavad Gita that when we truly have surrendered, or fully have surrendered to Krishna, we don't get covered again. And now we are in between position. Sometimes maybe we get a little bit dry, and then another wave comes of the modes of material nature and whatever washes us away a little bit, and then we crawl up again, trying to get on our feet, life, or spiritual life, and then it may come another wave of the material energy. Krishna works in cycles, or the material energy works in cycles. Krishna also in a way works he doesn't work in cycles, but he, as Mahavishnu, is breathing in and is breathing out. This is an ongoing cycle. And this, with his breathing in and breathing out, the whole cycle of creation and destruction takes place. So that's the greatness of Mahavishnu, or we can say of Krishna. How long is his breath? How long it takes for him to take one breath? That's the whole creation from beginning to end. So we are some or another. We are one with Krishna, but we're also different, like it's stated here. Now it says, yes, all the superficially, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity, all the superficially, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity, material nature and time appear to be different. So we see a difference here, and there's a superficial difference. And there's also, well, we are different from the matter. The matter is dead, we say. Because this is dead wood, but there's also living wood. And then we heard that even the super soul is also in every atom. So it's not fully dead, or there is consciousness in a way. And that's quite interesting how consciousness can affect things. Krishna is aware of it, therefore it exists. Like Krishna is aware of us, therefore we exist. Someone says, well, your God is just a creation of our imagination. It just exists in your mind. So in one sense, if we wouldn't think of God, God would not exist. But the point is that if God wouldn't think of us, we would not exist. But He exists independently of us. Okay, therefore, let's see what we... Although the superficial, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord, the living entity, material nature and time, activities appear to be different. Nothing is different from the Supreme. Okay, we are different and we're not different. But the Supreme is always different from everything. That is like, our difference is superficial, but the Lord is always different from us, from everything. Krishna is never caught in his own creation. Is it his creation? Well, it's his creation, but in one sense it's made for us to enjoy. In one sense, some places mention also that the Lord, in a way, let's see, I think it was the prayers of Daksha. He has a statement, something like that. What does it say? So Supreme Lord has become the living entity, is to enjoy, or has entered into it to enjoy this material energy. And then there's if you said like the living entity, it's not remember shortly. But then also that Lakshmi, she has manifested in form of the material nature, and there is a living entities. One place is mentioned like that, but actually the Lord is not interested in really enjoying this material entity because it's inferior. It is in of itself not really pleasing to Him. But what He is interested is in enjoying the loving exchanges with His devotees. So that is, He enjoys loving exchanges with His devotees, and that means it's a conscious communication. Because we can have formal exchange with Krishna. We go to the church, we do all things. We can maybe chant or japa formally, because we should do it. We should come to the temple on the Sundays or in the Wednesday night or sometime. I think so. We may be a little bit formal, but, and that's maybe not bad either. because we're going in the right direction towards Krishna consciousness. But then with Krishna is the loving exchanges. Because then love, because we are the same, how do we say it? Say we're the same. There appears to be different, nothing is different from the Supreme. We appears to be different, but we're not different from the Supreme. Still we're different, okay. Prabhupada says, Achinta Veda Veda Tattva, our basic, our Gaudiya Vaishnava, what do you say, Siddhanta, Achinta Veda Veda Tattva, inconceivable, it's inconceivable, Achinta Veda Veda, it's some difference and non-difference. Simultaneously, everything is different and non-different from the Supreme Lord. Still, the Supreme Lord always remains different. But we are, as I say, like the Supreme Lord. Okay, so so Krishna, in order to enjoy loving relationships, usually we say the real loving relationships is within species of the same kind. Of course, you never really know. We human beings are strange sometimes. There's also affectionate relationship with the cats, with the dogs, with the camels, asses, cows. In case when someone has an animal like that, they many times develop there's some kind of affection going on. And in the old times in Sweden, it used to be that they had the cow, and if the cow had to go to slaughter, they were not happy. They were all standing crying there, taking farewell of the cow. So that's what's happening. There was previously. So in that way, there is some kind of affectionate relationship. And maybe that we can say is a little bit of reflection, because Krishna also had his affectionate relationship to the cows, and maybe to the other animals also. I mean, to the forest of Vrindavan, the trees, they were in some place described how they were bending down and whatever, offering their fruits and flowers to Krishna, and Krishna was reciprocating their love. And the deities were stopping, hearing, and became motionless, and even the Yamuna became stopped its waves, sometimes to listen to Krishna's flute. So in that way, we can say that Krishna enjoys all these different, has a loving exchange with all these different living entities, or different manifestations. We can say different manifestations of himself. That's what's said here. Non-different, even though it appears different, but non-different. So in that, for Krishna, that's no problem, because they're actually manifestations of himself, or his own entity. Now but what I thought here is that because we